All right, welcome in. It is Tuesday. That means it's $5 Tuesday at WagerTalk. Myself, Tokyo, Brandon, Bryan Leonard, and all the other handicappers on the website will have plays up for just $5. So head on over to WagerTalk.com and take advantage of the promo day. Tuesday, Tokyo, Brandon, sometimes the best bet is no bet. That was me yesterday. Decided I just couldn't get there with anything, and it was a full pass for me. So if you don't bet, you can't lose. That's what that's the moral of the story there. And actually, I think it was a good pass because I don't know if I would have I don't know if I would have won yesterday. There was like one thing I liked that won. Most of the stuff I liked lost. So I'm kind of optimistic coming into today. Good pass for me. How did your Monday turn out?
Yeah, I went 2-2, basically a break even day. But what was frustrating is I backed Ashcraft and the Pirates in the first 5, and I actually got a half run, and they were up 5-4, and then Ashcraft turned into ass mustard, and he was just awful. So actually, I looked it up. His last 4 starts, he's been pretty shaky, so he might be a guy to start fading. Not exactly fading, but definitely not to back from here on out. What do you think?
I'll tell you what, Bryan Leonard, this is why people have to watch this show. Because you can go back about 4 weeks. Specifically, I think it was the start against the Phillies. And I talked about Braxton Ashcraft starting to leave the ball out over the plate. I've mentioned it 3 or 4 times since. And I was watching Yankees Pirates last night, and that's what I was thinking about. I'm like, man, he's when you go up against really good offenses, and the Yankees are one of those, you don't get away with stuff like that. And that's kind of what I felt like really the last couple times I've watched him. So TB might be right about, that's something to watch going forward.
Yeah. And by the way, I just won a plus 125, 4% KBO play. So I'm pretty thrilled about that. Samsung held on for me.
Yeah, those are automatic for you guys. Those minor league games in those
close to
those leagues, far away, as we say, from the United States.
Brian, do you do any like small leagues or anything?
No, I just do NHL? MLB, and I don't even do really props. So I do sides and totals, and I'll do team totals and first 5s and things like that. But no, I'm pretty vanilla. I'm an older guy, and I've been doing it for a long time. And why switch for something that has been good to me? And we swept the board 3-0 yesterday. Won another 4%. Now on a 13-2 run on 4%.
Jeez.
The only bad part was, and I talked about this in the Pirates game yesterday, I love the game. I said, well, we either want to play Pittsburgh team total over, which won, or we want to play the game total over, which easily won. And I decided out of the 3 of them, I was going to take Pittsburgh. And that was the only one that lost, and that was part of my parlay. That's the only thing we didn't win yesterday. Yeah, 3-0, 13-2 overall on the big place, and now 47-21. Run number 1 the last 3, number 1 the last 30, number 1 in the last 12 years, by the way. And so I can't complain at all. I always feel bad when we lose, our plays on this show, regardless if it's a client play or not. I'm greedy. I want to win them all, and I'm sure you guys do too.
Oh, 100%. I'm mad if I don't win 100% of the plays, even though realistically, if you can win anywhere near 60%, you're like in the top 1% of the people that do this, which is, I guess that's what keeps you honest going forward. We're ready to go forward in the show here. The live chat has filed in. And listen, if you don't want to hear about Dodgers Phillies every day, you got to call the cable operators and tell them to not make this the national TV game. But once again, Dodgers Phillies national TV tonight. It's on TBS. I think it's fitting. Listen, big time contender. The Dodgers probably the favorite in the National League. The Phillies big time contender. And Bryan Leonard, I'll go to you. Very similar handicap to yesterday, in my opinion. Yeah. You've got the Phillies at home. They've got the better pitcher, and then you have to decide: is it worth playing against them? And are you going to get sucked into the Dodgers with that plus money price? Yesterday proved to be the better pitcher, although it was a 10-7 game when it was all said and done. Phillies do get it done. So Zach Wheeler, Justin Robles, essentially the same handicap. Are you seeing it the same way today?
Yeah, we're seeing Wheeler at about a 130 favorite, 8.5 to the over. I see some 9s to the under. So pick your choice there. But yeah, Wheeler's a guy. he's really, I've always liked him, but after coming back from what he had to go through and having the season he has had and what he did with the All-Star game and all that, I'm really liking this guy. Yeah, he, at home, they're like there's close to an automatic play as you can get. Let's just put it that way. He's been very good at home, but he is playing the best team in baseball. And, you talk about, we've all had our problems with San Diego on the season every once in a while. They're such a hard team to handicap. Wroblewski's a guy who I've had a hard time handicapping this year. If you take a look at his actual, what he throws up there, it's not very impressive, but he continues to beat what we think his numbers are going to be. He's a lefty, and that's always something you have to keep in mind. He started off, and I said, "Oh, this is going to end. This is going to end." I actually did like him coming into the season, but I wasn't expecting anything like what he's been doing now, and he's just been terrific. And now he's going longer in games. His major concern was he didn't strike anybody out. Now he's getting like 7 strikeouts and things. So whatever's going on with the Dodgers and Wroblewski, hey, you got to be a believer at this point. We talk about Abbott and Cincinnati all the time. Keep waiting for him to struggle. There's a lot of guys out there that, you take a look at their base numbers. You go, why are they having so much success? Whatever he's doing is working. So I would prefer to play Philadelphia here. But as you said, how many times you get the Dodgers as an underdog and they're off of a loss, and they've been excellent off of a loss this year, although they did lose yesterday. But yeah, this is a really good game to watch. 8.5 seems to be high with these two pitchers, 8.5, 9. But this is normally a pretty good hitter's ballpark. So yeah, I'm a little flummoxed in this one. I would have loved to play Wheeler. If it was a 120, I probably would have been on Wheeler. But the smallest I'm sitting out there right now is 125, and that's just not going to get it for me.
Tokyo Brandon, 10-7 final in last night's game, and it looks like we have some wind blowing out in what is a ballpark that typically plays to offense, even if the wind isn't blowing out. Smaller park, ball gets out of there, and you've got two offenses that can definitely hit the ball of the ballpark. So side or total to you, how are you seeing this one?
Everyone, do not forget, today is $5 Tuesday. I have a play up in MLB for $5. My 4% plus 120 KBO play was $5 as well. Thanks for everyone who bought that. I'm sure my colleagues, esteemed colleagues here, will also be putting something up for $5 today. I'm ranked number 4 out of all 33 cappers right now in 2026. So I'm feeling good about that. So $5 Tuesday, go to wagertalk.com and get something for $5. I see this game very similar to yesterday, but there's one big difference. I think Wroblewski is a huge step up from Sheehan, and Zach Wheeler has pretty bad numbers against these Dodgers in his career. So I think today's the day to take the Dodgers. I think this is going to be kind of like a 1-0, 0-0 kind of game going into the 6th inning. Then the two star pitchers are going to leave whether Wroblewski's a star or not. He's been pitching like a star. I mean, we've got a 10-1 guy against a 10-2 guy, something like that. I mean, these guys have 20 wins amongst each other and like 3 losses. So I think once they exit the game in a very tight matchup, it'll be up to the bullpens. And I think the Dodgers have a slight advantage there in lineup and bullpen. So give me the Dodgers in a 3-1 win here today. I think the books are overvaluing starting pitching a little too much. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge fan of Wheeler, just like Brian is. Matter of fact, out of 220 something pitchers I rank, I've got him in the top 5 all MLB. So no, I'm not saying fade Wheeler. I'm saying this is going to be a tight game into the 6th inning. And when the bullpens come in, I think the Dodgers will probably take a real tight one in the end.
Yeah, I don't see Wroblewski and Sheehan to me are kind of even. Like I know Wroblewski had a good first half, but when I look at these two guys,
10-2,
I look at the underlying metrics. Like I think they're pretty close. Like I followed both of their careers. I feel like if you followed the career of Sheehan and Wroblewski, if you take out like the last month or two, very, very close. Very, very close. But where I will agree with you here is that I prefer the Phillies against right-handed pitching. I don't like them as much against left-handed pitching. Reason being, and I've said this all year, Phillies lineup, very top-heavy. Once you get past 1 through 4, this is not a great lineup. Hasn't been all year. But look at 6 through 9 hitters. They've been in the bottom 5 of Major League Baseball and OPS all season long. So what does that mean? Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, Brandon Marsh, right? Who would you rather have, a righty or a lefty against those 4? I'm pretty sure I'd rather have the left-handed pitcher because that at least it's going to be a better matchup against Schwarber and Harper. Now, it might help out Marsh, and Turner's the one I'm worried about the least because he's had probably the worst. He hasn't been like all-star Trey Turner this year. So that I like. Wheeler I like. I think if I was going to take an under here, Tokyo Brandon, I'd go first 5, kind of based off your handicap. I don't really love either of these bullpens against the other offense in this game, especially with the wind blowing out and in this small ballpark. So I'll take a page out of Brian's book. I think if you get a low-scoring start to this game, you might be able to play a live over, take a cheap live over, get basically bet on runs in the last few innings. If you do think the pitching, if you agree with Tokyo Brandon and you think that the pitching early is going to keep this tight, make it a first 5 under. As far as the game is concerned, I thought this was priced pretty good, and I feel like I missed my shot with the Phillies last night. So I'm not going to come back with the Phillies here. So that's the best I can do for this one. Brian, what do you think about that live strategy?
Makes a lot of sense to me, and I always get a kick out of TV because half the time he'll say win-loss means nothing, and then he just says, "But he's 10-2." So we all get kind of caught up into that and use it for our advantage when we need it. But still, yeah, it means nothing. But it just means that he's playing for a very good team, and
it means they hit for him.
Yeah,
it means they hit for him.
We all get caught in the same thing,
Yeah. I let me just clarify. I don't think records mean a whole heck of a lot, but when you're 10-2, it means at least that the team puts runs up for you, at least.
Yeah, that's it. Listen, we talk about, we had to touch on that game because that's the one that the entire country is going to get here in the U.S. tonight. People are like, well, how do you pick the games? How do you pick the games? And really it comes down to a couple different things. So, one, we're going to hit there's always one game on national TV. So we're going to hit the national TV game. 2, if we're going to give out a best bet, we're going to talk about that game. And 3, we go off the chat. This show is unscripted on a daily basis. We just show up to talk baseball. We never know what we're going to talk about, but I promised someone in the chat from yesterday. So also another way to get our attention is go over to the YouTube replay. While you're over there, please like and subscribe to the WagerTalk YouTube channel and drop us a comment. And if you comment enough, eventually I'll listen to you. And the folks have spoken in the chat and they said, guys, you don't talk enough of it. You haven't talked about the Red Sox at all. And it's like, hey, they don't put the Red Sox on national TV enough. But hey, if you want us to ruin this 13-game win streak or 14-game win streak, we'll come on there and do that. So let's just go ahead and do that, Bryan Leonard. We haven't brought up the Red Sox really much of late. All they've done is win games. So now we're going to talk about them. Today is the day that this historic winning streak comes to an end.
Yeah, just to touch on what you were saying. There's a lot of guys out there that can do videos and say, we're going to talk about these 3 games, and they're able to study them and they know those 3 games. We're doing everything off the top of our heads right here. We don't know what you're going to ask about. We don't know. There's people ask about what's your best total over on the day. So everything we're doing is coming naturally, which tells you how much we love baseball. We study baseball all the time. And I did see the gentleman's comment in there. And, no matter what you're a fan of, you never think we're talking about your team enough. Just get in there, give a donation for $5, and we'll be able to talk about your game. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to get donations for the charities. And if you're going to watch, spend $5. Spend the $5 you would have bought a play today from, and just give it to charity. And it'll be there, and we'll see it. And that's what we do. But yeah, the Red Sox had a hell of a game yesterday against Baltimore, and it's we get into these things, and I knew the Red Sox were on a big winning streak. Well, I went to visit my brother-in-law who was from the Baltimore area. He goes, "Hey, how about those Orioles? Won 6 or 7 in a row?" And I didn't even know it. I just go from one day to the next day, and that was a hell of a game. And Boston ends up pulling that one out. I do have some concerns about Baltimore today because Kyle Bradish is on the mound. Not that I don't like Kyle Bradish, but they just signed him to an extension, 4-year extension. And I don't know, you want to reward your players that have done well, but his injury status over the years, I'm not sure that's going to come back and be a positive for the Orioles there. You want to give extensions to guys who are healthy. And he has missed a lot of time in his career. Good pitcher, really good pitcher when he's healthy. But you don't know how many starts you're going to get out of him. So that's a concern. And once a guy gets paid, we've talked about that in the past. Once a guy gets paid, that's one less thing for him to worry about. And he doesn't need to work for that paycheck. We'll see how that goes, the way the Boston's hitting right now. I do have some concerns with Bradish. Suarez on the mound, the lefty. And we're looking at Boston about a 135, 140 favorite, total of 8.5. Somewhat like Boston in this game, but you're starting to have to pay the price because of that big winning streak. I've got to tell you, Boston coming into the season, I like their young hitters. I like some of their young pitchers, and they gotten off to such a bad start. They were on the back burner, and people who have been back in Boston during the streak have had some really nice paydays. They haven't had to overpay for anything. Now, after yesterday, I think we're starting to have to pay a little bit more here for Boston, and I'm not sure I want to lay this number for them. Do I think Boston's going to win? I do, but we're playing for numbers. We talked about that in the last game with Wheeler. You've got to not only have the game you want, the situation you want, but you also want to have the best numbers. And if this game, let's say this game was played 2 weeks ago, are the Red Sox really a 135, 140 favorite over Bradish and Baltimore? No. So you're paying a premium to back Boston. And, hey, they always say you play it until it loses. Yeah, but they don't tell you that when it loses, instead of losing 120, you're losing 140. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, I think Boston's going to win, but the line's too high for me to play it.
Tokyo Brandon, normally I would look at this matchup and say, okay, well, the Red Sox have the better bullpen. That's going to give them a little sort of nudge. But I don't think I can say that here because since coming out of the break, they've won all 4 games. 3 of them have been very tight games. Of course, last night they win 6-5. Just looking at their bullpen usage from yesterday, Chapman, 22 pitches. It's not so much the bullpen usage in yesterday's game, but I think you start to look back at the last 4 days since coming out of the break. Pretty much every leverage reliever has been used now multiple times. So I think they definitely have it's not a sort of a pronounced advantage in the bullpen. And you've actually talked about the Orioles bullpen at times this year being better, certainly than I expected them to be. I thought the Orioles bullpen was going to be awful coming into this year. And they've actually been better in that regard than I think most people would have thought. So way I look at this game, I'm seeing a pretty even game, yet I'm like Brian. I'm seeing that price on the Orioles. My gut says this is where it ends too for the Red Sox. How do you see this?
By the way, Adam, that hat is really cool. What is it? That's not Tucson Toros, is it?
It is not. This is the alternate Norfolk Tides hat, which is actually the AAA affiliate of the Orioles. And I learned on TikTok the other day by a bunch of locals that I've been saying Norfolk wrong for a very long time. Apparently it's Norfolk. I don't have the drawl from that part of the country, but apparently you don't say folk. So I got corrected by a whole bunch of people after I posted my video that I've been saying it wrong this whole time. But yeah, this is the Norfolk Tides AAA for the Orioles.
Like Louisville.
But yeah, Virginia's not part of the Confederacy. It's not like they're a southern state or something, right?
Oh, I mean, no one's part of the Confederacy anymore because it's not like 8.
I know that, but I mean, Virginia was never part of the South, were they? Were they?
That's
Do I have
pretty
a
south down
geography?
there.
Yeah,
That's
it's
like
more
Virginia
south
Beach,
is north, I
south
would guess.
down there.
Okay, I think of Virginia as very no accent and very vanilla state, but maybe I'm wrong.
Just
Andy
believe
Lang
me.
says the rest of the country thinks you're pronouncing it right. Yeah.
Yeah,
TikTok
exactly.
likes to localize your stuff. So like these are like a bunch of locals being
Norfolk.
like, they're like phonetically spelling it out. Ththey're like, that's wrong. But anyway.
Well, anyways, I think that hat is really cool. I would like to get one
Thank
myself.
Yeah.
So $5 Tuesday, guys. Everything is $5 at wagertalk.com. So go grab it. All of us three, we're all on fire right now, and we all will have a $5 play up. Brian especially is on fire. So grab something for $5. Yeah, this game, let's get to it. Well, imagine if regular people who worked at companies could get paid 4 years of their salary right off the bat and then just work for 4 years without getting paid. I think the country's economy would go down the toilet very quickly. But that's just the difference between working in a company and working in MLB. So I have to disagree, though. I think the Red Sox are the side here. Look, I badmouthed the Red Sox really, really bad at the beginning of the season. I said when they were 2-9 to start the season, I said they've peaked. Obviously, I did the same thing for the Brewers last year. I said their season is over, and they went on and had a tear. So now I'm going to praise the Boston Red Sox. I think they're playing great right now. And when I look at how they match up against the Orioles, like the Orioles don't hold a candle to this Red Sox team. As far as the numbers are concerned, Red Sox blow them away in almost every category that I have here. Hitting, I've got Boston 7. I've got Orioles 18. Bullpen, Boston 4. Orioles 15. Although the bullpen is depleted, like you guys did allude to earlier. And then I got Ranger Suarez ranked a lot higher than Bradish. He's not walking anyone. His walk to strikeout rate is 17%, and 30-40 is acceptable. So that's Ranger Suarez putting up some incredible numbers, although he has given up 3 earned in each of his last 2 starts, which is a little concerning. But the Orioles aren't hitting right now. They're ranked 18-19 out of 30 teams. Not really anything, in my opinion, to be scared of. I think Boston continues the streak here. And can't say enough good things about Boston because I want them to lose. So, but I think in this matchup, though, I don't think this is even going to be close. So I expect Boston to continue their streak here.
All right. So I'm not going to let you take an L on that Boston comment, TB, because they were. So I remember the exact day they were 1-5. You said it's probably going to get worse. And for 2 months, it got worse. Like, you were not wrong about that. That's the thing with the Red Sox. I mean, this team has won 14 in a row, 13, 14 in a row at this point. There's still only 3 games over 500. So while it has been a phenomenal 2.5 weeks for the Red Sox, we're gonna let's everyone just relax on this team being like World Series champions at this point. And what you said that I'll disagree with. I don't think they're necessarily a better team than the Orioles. I think these two teams are very even. The Blaze Alexander injury, I think a lot of people think hurt the Orioles, but it's going to open up some time from Christian Encarnacion Strand, who I just did not understand why he was in the minors for as long as he was. Couldn't understand why he was in the minors for the Reds as long as he was. He gets up. He has a great game last night. I think he had a pretty good game over the weekend as well. So I don't even see that as a huge, I don't think they got worse. I think people will say, oh, that injury's tough. I think Encarnacion Strand slots in nicely there. So again, I don't know if I'll be on this one, but Orioles at plus money here for me is the only way I could go. And that was a good discussion. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I need to correct myself. The chat. Richmond, Virginia was the capital of the Confederacy in the Civil War. I did not know that. Anyways, you learn all kinds of stuff on this show.
Yeah, I was there at the time, and I remember.
Brian was the one among us that was alive at that time. So
the flying squirrels weren't there yet. Brian was there though. The Diamond was probably still there. That old ballpark that they just replaced in Richmond. I just went to the new one. It was incredible. But let's get back to the chat here. Grant's daddy says just says appreciate all of you. We appreciate you. We appreciate the donations to the show. And we're going to bring up so let's get back into those donations to the show in the chat comments. I'm going to go over to Adam. He says, Brian, excellent work yesterday. Yeah, that was a great call on the Nats. That's the one thing I was really kicking myself for not playing the Nats, but then I realized that anything else I would have played yesterday would have lost. So I was like, okay with it. I was like, you probably made a good decision by passing. But yeah, I did like the Nationals yesterday, and they went in and got the job done at Coors Field, as you said they would. I saw I think it was my buddy Krabs tweeted out, there might be 100 runs scored at Coors Field tonight because he's a big Nats fan. And so obviously you can tell what he thinks about Miles Mikolas. But on the other side, not much better for the Rockies. Is there going to be fireworks at Coors Field tonight? Nats Rockies round 2.
Yeah, we'll do a weather report here. The wind is blowing out at Coors Field, and it's strongly. It's a hot game. The sun's going to be out, and the precipitation is high. So they're expecting 3.69 more runs than a normal baseball game. Problem is, we still have this is a team. The home run is supposed to be up 27%. I always talk about that at Coors Field. Is the outfield is so big is where they really get it. So, Citizens Bank Park is blowing straight out today. The wind's not going to be quite as much, but they're expected 38% more home runs there than normal, and that's a good home run hitting ballpark. But yeah, if you're looking at that game, there could be a lot of runs, and you've got two pitchers out there that really have not impressed overall. You got Miles Mikolas, who, as I said before, seems to pitch better if he's getting an opener, but he's expected. Both these pitchers, according to the PayPal, the baseball pal website, tells you how old I am. I'm even talking about PayPal. Everybody's using Venmo and whatever else. But Mikolas and Lorenzen are both supposed to go about 4.7 innings. They're supposed to give up 3.3 and 3.4 runs. That's 7 runs in less than 5 innings. And we all know about the bullpens for both of these teams. So I can see a lot of runs, but in reality, the line is at 13. And I'm not going to go over 13 runs. You've got to, and it very possibly could go over 13, but that means you need 14 runs to win the game, and it could very well happen. But I don't know if I'm going to want to do that. Lorenzen is a guy who's going to give you innings. Mikolas will give you innings. Maybe they'll keep him in there because of the situation. They'll keep him in there a little bit longer, but when you take a look at the bullpens, you really don't want either part of these bullpens. Washington is in pretty good shape. Clayton Beeter pitched on Sunday, 24 pitches, but that's the only time he's been used since the All-Star break. Rebalta and Lawrence have not been used at all, so their bullpen's in not bad shape. Most of the guys that have pitched are the long relievers, and from a Colorado standpoint, in the bullpen, they had a couple guys pitch yesterday, but both bullpens are in pretty good shape here. So, yeah, I can understand that it could be 20 runs. That's just the way Coors Field is, but you're really paying a price here. And the bullpens, as I said, are in pretty good shape, even though I'm not really big a fan for either one of these bullpens.
Brian, that's a really good point because there aren't many relievers in the Nationals bullpen that you look and say, yeah, I kind of want that guy in the game right now. But Clayton Beeter has been one of them. Like, he's kind of quietly had a very good season. Former New York Yankee, it was a starter. They've kind of converted him to a reliever, and I think he's quietly been really good. The other thing you could see here, as I kick this over to Tokyo Brandon, the other thing you could see here is Carson Palmquist maybe open again. Like, they were doing it with Littell, and I noticed that they, I don't know if he went and complained, but I noticed that he probably should have kept the opener because I think he got destroyed in his last start, Zach Littell. But they didn't do it with him last time. And so you talked about they've done it with Mikolas at times this year. Carson Palmquist, it'll probably depend. I know, Tokyo Brandon, you hate openers, but it's probably going to depend on who the Rockies' first 3 hitters are, whether they want the lefty Palmquist. I think you will see Palmquist in this game as well. He's used to pitching at Coors Field. Of course, he was a Rocky. That's where he came from before they DFA'd him or cut him or whatever. I think I don't know exactly how the Nationals got him from the Rockies. I think he was let go. But the point is, he's pitched in this ballpark a million times. You know, if you gave me Palmquist, Michaelis, Beater here, I think that's going to set up better than what the Rockies have going on for pitching today. So Nationals for me in this one. How are you seeing Nats Rockies?
Yeah, it's not so much that I hate openers. I just think openers are a sign of a weak pitcher, because you don't see Wheeler having an opener. You don't see Skubal having an opener because they're good.
Well, yeah,
basically, so, you don't see even guys like Max Scherzer with an opener because he's not a weak pitcher. So that's just my opinion. We can debate that on another show because I'm sure Brian disagrees with me.
No, I agree with that. You're never going to open for an elite guy, for sure.
If you can get lefties and righties
even
both out the same way, then you don't need an opener. But some of these guys, you got a bunch of lefties at the top of the order. You want to bring in a lefty as opposed to a righty. So, there's reasons for it. Yeah,
well, if Wheeler's pitching, you don't really care if they're lefty.
Like I said, he can get guys out from both sides of the plate.
That's because he's good.
Yeah, he's good.
Because he's good.
Yeah.
And so good pitchers don't need openers. That's just the way I think. So, but I don't hate them. I mean, but I think it's just thinking a little too much, in my opinion. But hey, we can debate that on another show. Talking about this game, we've got two guys with 5+ ERAs, and those ERAs were accumulated in ballparks all across America, and they're playing in the Monkey Ballpark in Colorado. That's like playing in Mexico. And we're going to see a lot of runs here. We got Washington ranked number 1 in run production in all of MLB in current form. Doesn't mean they're the best lineup in baseball. But man, they're hot right now. And did you know the Nationals are 31-19 on the road? Holy cow. So this is not a home field advantage. This is actually a home field disadvantage. I think the Nationals would be the only way to go here. One other thing, I did put my pitcher OPS rankings up on my Twitter X, Tokyo_Brandon, and Mikolas actually has really good numbers against these Rockies. The caveat to that is I don't know if those numbers were a couple years ago, and I also don't know if those numbers were in Colorado. I just know that in his career, these Rockies hitters have trouble hitting him. So I think Washington has some huge advantages here. Both bullpens stink, so I would take a Washington team total over, or I would take Washington to win the game if I were to play it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make Washington my parlay leg. Damn it.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Washington. Washington Nationals -112. Give it to me.
Get it for -110. It's basically a pick 'em right now.
110. Oh, holy cow. Yeah. Brian, do you think these two teams are equal? Pick 'em?
Not at all. But you when you mention Colorado, keep in mind they're so bad on the road, which gives them the home advantage. They're much more competitive at home than they are on the road. It's more of a road disadvantage from Colorado as opposed to a home advantage.
Okay.
Yeah. Nats have played well away from home this year, though. They have
31-19. Holy cow! And they played terrible at home, which is weird.
That could shake out as the year goes on. But you know what? I will say this. I'll go back to what I said yesterday about the Nationals. How much better would they be if they weren't giving games away in the 9th inning? And this is the type of series where, like, now yesterday it didn't come into play because they ended up having a 7-3 lead. This is the type of series where it's like the Rockies are going to have to deal with the same. The Rockies give a lot of games away late too. So they're going to have to deal with the same things that the Nationals do from like a leverage relief standpoint. Neither has great leverage relievers. I think I would prefer, like, I don't see a scenario in the series where I don't prefer the Nationals, just the way that these two teams matched up. As far as the over is concerned, before we move on from this game, my projection here was like 12.9. I was like, oh yeah, that is definitely going to lean to the over. They threw a 13 out there. That's what the total is in this game right there. So
we talked about the odd numbers on totals. If it was 12, I could see it. But now you got to get to 14.
All right, so we've got Tokyo Brandon locking in.
Yeah, I like Tokyo Brandon. I think, you know what? if the Nationals picked up some decent relief arms, maybe 3 at the trade deadline, they could actually make a playoff run. But you know what? They're not. They're not. They don't have the type of management that's hungry for playoffs.
But they have the players, Tokyo Brandon. If the Nationals wanted to, they could get. The Nationals can get Mason Miller if they want him. I'm telling, they have such a loaded organization with They have such a loaded organization with prospects. They could essentially give the Padres the same trade that the Padres gave the A's last year. And the Padres might do it because their minor league system is totally depleted right now. Totally depleted.
Mason Miller will not finish the season as a Padre. I guarantee he's traded at the trade deadline.
And I think that Nats make the most sense for him.
Nationals to make the playoffs would be a good bet on the Kalshi or whatever. You probably get a big plus money for that. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs or not, but it's worth a bet. I think they are very talented.
That's it. That's my hot take here. I think the Nationals get Mason Miller because I think they could trade Devin Fitzgerald. I think they have so many prospects and they have multiples at certain positions where they could give 3 or 4 really good position player prospects, or they could throw in Jackson Kent. They could throw in a pitcher. They could replenish the Padres AA, AAA level farm system. And then the Nationals would have Mason Miller at the end of games. It makes too much sense. I know this is, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I just want to say that the Nationals are only 1 game out of the wild card.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, could you imagine if they had a decent bullpen? That would be a really electric team. Seriously.
There's a lot of bad teams that have bad bullpens. So
I know,
not very many good ones anymore.
They could vulture some arms off some teams that are fading right now, and that's
going to happen. Really that's how it works. That's how it works with the trade deadline. We got to move the show along though to more games. So I'm going back to Brian. Guardians Twins. Guardians last night. Joe Ryan made history. Gave up 6 home runs. First time someone has given up 6 home runs in a game in about 100 years. But I think he did the Twins a little bit of a solid, saving their bullpen, taking one on the chin. So the question is now today, it's a quasi kind of bullpen game for the Twins. It looks like, and then they're up against the Guardians, arguably their best starter. So Brian, do your Guardians get it done once again today?
Yeah, the Guardians set some records yesterday, or tied some records. They scored in each of the first 7 innings for the first time, only the second time I believe, since the 1800s or whatever. And they hit 6 home runs, which tied their career the record for a Cleveland team. 6 home runs in one game. They had 4 home runs, I think, in the first 3 innings. So, yeah, it was a big day. A lot of smiling going on. A lot of frustration coming out for this offense for Cleveland yesterday, and it was good to see. But you know what that means? They scored double digits. Gotta expect them to get back to where they were before, and that's the way I'm going to play this one. We got Rojas going for Minnesota. He's a lefty. Cleveland going against Rojas here, and Messick's going for Cleveland. A couple of lefties here, and Messick's about a 150 favorite with a total of 8. And, yeah, I think this is going to be a lower-scoring game. If you take a look at what's going on, I guess so many windows open over here. Against lefties on the season, Cleveland has an 87 WRC plus. Minnesota's got a 93. Now, Minnesota versus righties is 110, so it's 17% worse lefties against righties, and Cleveland is 7% worse against lefties. Traditionally, this plays like a slightly to an under ballpark. If you take a look at home runs per barrel in Cleveland is at 51%, which is a little bit less than normal. We've got, your basic ones for this is Arizona is like 45% home runs per barrel. The Angels are 46, Miami 47. The big one is St. Louis at 42. So that's why you see the St. Louis pitching staff looking so good, is the ball doesn't really travel there. So when I'm looking at this game, I'm looking at the under between these two. I think Cleveland's going to regress off of that huge game, and we've seen that just about every single time we've talked about it. They're not used to scoring that many runs, and they've in Minnesota is a situation where they are going to go with the bullpen. They even talked about it at the game yesterday. They said that Minnesota was expecting to use the bullpen game, and they said the way Cleveland's playing, they're going to have to reconsider that, but they are going to go with the bullpen game. But I think they'll have success. I think Rojas can go 3 or 4 innings here with some success, and they've got some other guys that should be able to shut them down a little bit. I'm not enamored with the Minnesota bullpen, but I just want to fade the Cleveland bats in this one. And Messick is a guy who really keeps the opposition off balance. He hasn't pitched quite as well as he did earlier in the season. He's not used to pitching a lot, this many innings in his young career, but with a total of 8, I think that's too high. So I'm going to use that as my parlay bet today. I'm going to play the under 8, and I could actually, there's 108.5 minus 120. I'd love that, but it's only at one place. So I'm just going to go 8 minus 105 will be my my parlay bet.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Messick's going to pitch well. So I can't. It's hard to disagree with the total going under. I guess my handicap for this game is it's definitely going to be a piggyback situation here for the Twins. You're going to see Rojas is likely 2 or 3 innings. I believe the next pitcher will be Jack Anderson. He was someone that was picked up from the Red Sox organization by the Twins, and he got called up the other day. I assume that they're going to go Rojas, Jack Anderson. Now, the Guardians might light up Jack Anderson, or they might not. That's the thing. He's new to the organization. I've watched this guy a ton. He's been in the Worcester rotation for a while. For AAA guy. That's a guy that's gonna was a 14th, 15th round draft pick. Seems like he's probably just reliable guy that can go out and start games at the AAA level. Never really thought he was big league caliber. He finally made it up to the big leagues earlier this year. And I think the Twins are going to kind of just roll the dice with him for now. My guess is he will be in the St. Paul rotation as soon as they have a better option. But right now they don't have a better option. So I think you're going to see Rojas, Anderson, but if the Twins can get it to the bullpen, they didn't use a ton of the good bullpen arms yesterday. So, Brian, I hope that's how it goes for you.
Yeah, Tommy Nance threw 36 pitches. He won't be available. But if you take a look at Gomez, Morris, and Rogers, none of them pitched in the last 3 days. So you're getting your better bullpen arms likely in this game, unless it's another Cleveland blowout. You will see those kind of arms, which isn't bad. So, even though I'm not a big fan of the bullpen, the better guys in the bullpen will probably be pitching in this one.
All right, let's keep it going. Alex Rand says Cards bounce back today. There was another crazy, we talked about history being made yesterday with the Joe Ryan meltdown home run. The Angels had not won a game coming from behind in the 9th inning in some crazy number of games, well over 100 games. And last night, finally, the Angels went into the 9th inning trailing, and they pulled out a win. It was the first one of the season for them. I think now I have to go up and look, but it was some really, really long streak of games where the Angels entered the 9th inning trailing. They would lose a game. Last night they win. It's now their second win in a row. They had a 1-run win on Sunday. I was on the Angels on Sunday, so they held on to a 1-run win in that series with the Tigers in the finale. Tokyo Brandon, the question is to you, do the Cardinals bounce back today from Alex Rand?
Yeah, this is weird because just, my thoughts of looking at this, I eyeball the games first and kind of get a feel before I look at the numbers and calculate my own numbers. And I thought that the Cardinals were a much better team than the Angels, but then I ran my numbers, and the Angels actually, their bullpen is playing really well, which I didn't realize because I've never thought of the Angels as having a good bullpen ever until now. And starting pitcher, Urena, he started out with a bang and he's cooled off a lot. Because I remember at the beginning of the season where we were talking about him, wow, where's this guy coming from? But he is 5-7. Again, we'll go back to the record doesn't mean a lot because his ERA is 2.88. And I understand ERA is not the tell-all everything, but add in his expected numbers, and I've got him ranked 10 on a curve of 30. So he's in the top 1/3 of pitchers. Lineups, they're both, very mediocre right now. I think the Angels have every advantage in this game. So if I were to play it, I would take the Angels, but I probably won't play it. But I mean, my numbers are screaming at me to take the Angels here.
Brian, it was 106 games. So the Angels had a 106 game losing streak when entering the 9th inning trailing. They snapped it last night. They now improved to 1-48 on the year when trailing after 8 innings. So, Brian, to you, do the Angels stay hot? Do they win their 3rd game in a row after such a monumental accomplishment for this team yesterday?
I've got a definite opinion on this game, but I want to promote us all before we get to that. It is $5 Tuesday. Talked about how hot I've been all for the last over a month. I do have a 4% play up right now. It's up right now for only $5, 13-2 on 4 and 5% plays, 47-21 overall. Was mentioned. Trigg didn't win yesterday. Didn't have anything. But other than that, he's been hot as hell. Tokyo Brandon's been hot as hell. So we are getting a lot of response. Right now it's baseball season, and we're getting a lot of people that are joining us now for the first time. Hey, we've been great. We've been doing this for a long time. Make sure to buy some extended packages if you want to win during baseball season. And we're the guys that are here each and every day grinding this out. So if you're new to baseball, yes, you can make money betting baseball, but it is a grind, and you've got to pay attention each and every day. And that's what we do. We got shows 6 days a week. And obviously, Tokyo Brandon's got shows 7 days a week. He's got other leagues. So, yeah, we're baseball experts here. All right. Saying that, I also think this is a great spot here for the Angels. If you look at Liberatore, he's their worst starting pitcher. He's ranked 114th by Roster Resource over at Fangraphs. Every other starter's in the top 90. He's their worst starter. But in the last 2 weeks, he's been great. He's a number 13 starter. So what do you buy? Do you buy the short term or do you buy the long term? I buy the long term unless I know that he's developed a new pitch or something like that has happened. So you're buying Liberatore at his highest price of the season, and you're doing so with the bullpen. Riley O'Brien was the one that blew the save last night. He's their closer. Through 21 pitches, he likely will not pitch tonight. And you've got Soriano is your 8th inning guy. He's pitched the last 2 days. Stanik's 7th inning guy. He's pitched the last 2 days. Grace, whatever it is, his name, Gordon. He's pitched 2 of the last 3. So you've got a St. Louis bullpen that is not in very good shape. You've got a starting pitcher who I don't like. And from an Angels standpoint, that's a team that has not had much success this year. We talked about this going into the season. I thought they would have the worst record in baseball. I said to bet it at 9-1. And yeah, they're right there with you. They're not very good, and we haven't even got to the trade deadline yet. So some of these guys will be shipped away because once again the Angels are not performing well. But if you take a look at the starting pitcher, yeah, I like this guy a lot better. Urania right now on the season, he's ranked as the 61st best pitcher in the last 14 days, 28th. So he's been very consistent, and he's the one guy in this starting rotation that is underrated, if you ask me. I just heard rumors that Reed Detmers is going to be on the trading block. If you need a starting pitcher, you've got to get Reed Detmers. This guy, when healthy, he's pitching this well for a team in the Angels who do not develop pitchers. He has got to be the hell with these overpriced guys. Somebody go out there and get Detmers. That'd be great for him. But you got a team in the Angels who are, to me, a nice bet at this price. If I was giving out another bet on today's card, this would be it. I think the Angels are a nice price in this one.
Yeah, there are 3 games on my radar for today. I have not released anything for clients yet. One of those 3 is the Angels, and the Angels will be my parlay late. So as always, if I do give this to clients, I'm going to post this for free on my WagerTalk page. This will be in the free pick section, and I will note there if I make it a client play or not. Like I said, I haven't released anything yet, but Angels makes all the sense in the world. yesterday they only used Sammy Natera and Fermin out of the bullpen. So even though this Angels bullpen isn't elite, they do have some good arms down there, and they continue to improve. There's some guys. Zephyr John's throwing the ball better now. Bachman's been pretty good. It's not like the world's worst bullpen like it once was at a time last year. So yeah, I really like the Angels here. Brian, what are we looking at for an Angels money line?
Yeah, they're minus 105, and my Cleveland under was also minus 105, and yeah, so we're not laying a lot of juice today for those guys that always complain that we play a lot of favorites and big favorites. Not today.
Yeah, I like the Angels quite a bit. I'll actually, like I said, that one there's a good chance that makes my client card today.
Andrew McGinnis in the chat. Andrew, one of the nicest guys at WagerTalk.
Oh yeah.
He's like 7 foot tall. I feel like I'm standing next to Manute Bull when I stand.
Yeah, good looking, great hair, tall. Yeah. He's my idol.
Yeah, and young. Yeah, we hate him.
Shout out to McKinnis. That was actually the first when I first met McKinnis. That was like my biggest takeaway right off the bat. Is
just a great
way
guy.
taller than I expected.
Yeah.
Guys like
he's tall.
Something like that. Yeah,
he's Manute Bull.
All right, Freebird. We got time for one
Freebird,
more.
thank you.
Freebird wants to know Braves today. So Tokyo Brandon, the team. I know you love talking about this team. That's of course the San Diego Padres. Seems to always find the way into the show, and they want. Freebird wants to know about Braves. So this is of course Walker Buehler, Ronaldo Lopez. This game ended, I believe it was a 3-2 Braves win last night. Do you think they get it done again today?
Yeah, Lopez pitching quite well. I didn't expect him to pitch that well this season, but he actually is. And Walker Buehler is not. But when I put these two teams together and take a look, they're both hitting in top 5 out of 30 teams. Both bullpens almost neck and neck, right around 11 out of 30 teams. So good hitting, good bullpens. And despite my like for Reynaldo Lopez, my numbers and expected numbers don't like him as much as my eyes like him. He does pass my eye test, but got him ranked 19 out of 30 on a curve of 30. And I got Walker Buehler ranked worse than that, around 22. So 2 very poor numbers for the both starting pitchers, and both lineups are crushing right now. I think after the low output yesterday, we're going to see quite a few more runs today. So I would go with an over in this if I were to bet it, which I have not. In this $5 Tuesday.
$5 Tuesday. All the candy cappers on the site, including McKinnis, including the guys that you see on the screen right here, will have plays up for $5. Brian, I'm just going to go to you. This is the Padres at this point. They're just puzzling to me. Last night they hit the Braves 7-4. They managed to lose that game. Those are the types of games that's part of the reason I think the Padres are going to blow it up and trade Miller and just restart. This is just not a good baseball team. Guys they're good players are having like historically down years. I think if you're the Padres, you got to just blow it up. Like, and I have a hard time trusting them much going forward.
Yeah, I agree. You can't have your highest paid player pitching 1 inning a game. Buehler was a guy I liked for about 3 to 4 weeks earlier this season, and now he's regressed to what he was before. He was good to me until he wasn't good that one game, and I haven't been on him since. Lopez has pitched pretty well for them, but I think the line right here is, you're looking at about a 145. I would probably make Atlanta maybe a 140 favorite here, so I don't see any advantage in this game from a betting standpoint. But I will say that Riley went 0-2 yesterday, so maybe the jinx is over.
Could you imagine adding Tatis or Manny Machado to your roster? That would just be unreal.
See, here's the thing. I don't think the Padres are going to trade those guys. I agree. I think the Padres, I think they're going to trade Mason Miller, and I think they're going to trade him to a team that's got some guys that are semi-big league ready that they could just try to inject some life into this roster. Again, Nationals makes all the sense in the world. You could get Abby Ortiz, who's having a really good season at AAA. You could get Jackson Kent is pitching at AAA for Rochester right now. You could throw him into the mix as another good arm. That's where I think the Padres are going to do. here's the thing. AJ Preller just doesn't sell. Okay. But I do think he would trade Mason Miller to try to get a couple guys back that are like AA, AAA guys that he could maybe throw on the big league roster. So that's what I think the Padres are going to do. And until they do that, until they do something like that, they're probably off my list of teams to mess with because I need to see some life injected into this roster. I told you against the Royals, just Xander Bogaerts throwing a double play ball in the right field. Like that is like stuff like this is happening every game, and it's coming from the veteran guys. That just can't happen. So the Padres are on my no bet list for the period of time. I need to see them have a little bit of life. They can't get out hit 7-4 and lose the game like they did yesterday. Or I'm sorry, they can't out hit the Braves and lose the game. It just can't happen.
They've been on my no bet list for most of my betting career.
Nobody's on my no bet list, but I got to have such a great price on it. You know, they're going to have to price me out.
Yeah, my biggest thing, and again, I wish I had more for that game, and I know we're not going to talk about this game, but the same thing yesterday with the Blue Jays. Shout out to Brian who called that Rays game at a great price. Again, like it's not that I have a quote unquote no bet teams because everything has a price, right? Every team has a price. But when you start, like Dylan Cease yesterday was noticeably pissed off that he was getting ground balls hit at infielders and they were just going through the infielders. And when you have these like teams that are just out there making 3 errors a game, lifeless, mental mistakes, that's when I start to get away from you. And I'm like, I can't bet on this team until I see some life. Like that was just a lifeless performance by the Blue Jays, and the Padres have been guilty of that as well. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about that game. We have reached the end of the show. We already locked the parlay in. So let's, we had the high watermark of the parlay a couple weeks ago, and we've been cold on it ever since. So let's get it turned around starting today. Tokyo Brandon's going Nationals -110. I'm going to go Angels -105. And Bryan Leonard is going Twins Guardians under 8. That's a full game total. So Nats money line, Angels money line, Twin Guardians under 8. All full game sides or totals. And of course, it's Tuesday, which means WagerTalk is going to have a whole bunch of plays up for $5. So check out our pages. Check out any of the handicappers pages. You may even get some football futures in there from some of these guys, looking for something to put up for $5 Tuesday. If that is something that you're interested in. McKinnis probably has a CFL play up. Again, I talk about this all the time. I shout out Hakeem. Yep. Hakeem doing the WNBA. He's going to beat that market. Andrew McKinnis has been beating the CFL as long as I've known him.
And he's been beating dart.
I think
Andy's been beating darts and tennis.
Yeah, I'm talking about McKinnis. Yes, but yes, Andy's a king of the small market sports as well.
Oh, yeah.
But CFL is a big market. That's not really a small market. You can get down CFL basically anywhere now. So take advantage of that. $5 Tuesday. The three of us will be back tomorrow morning, Wednesday, 9 a.m. Eastern for more Total Basis. Have a great day, everybody.